Hey, so I'm about to sew my New Horizon quilt rows together, and I just wanted to show you really quickly how I do it. I do it in batches. So I chain piece the first block of each row, and then I go to the next, and then I go to the next. Instead of doing each row individually, that goes just a little bit slower, and anytime you can chain piece, I highly recommend you do it. This is something we did when we were sewing the Thrive quilt. So during the Thrive quilt sew-along, which happened 2020, I think, the same time we're July 2021, that was 2020, we did the same thing because we have just regular square blocks on point. So they're in these 45-degree angle rows. And this time around, we have fewer blocks, so it should go just a wee bit faster, but it's the exact same technique. We're just going to be grabbing each block, we're going to be sewing it to a sashing strip, and then we're going to be pressing it, and then putting it back down, and then grabbing the next block. So I'm actually working on the floor right now. In the Thrive quilt sew-along, I was working on my design board. I just didn't even feel like getting the design board out today. So we're working on the floor. So come with me, I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to whoop, all the way down here. So can you see? I know you can. All right, here we have, hi. All right, so these are the top blocks in this row, okay? Do you see these top blocks right here? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this sashing piece and I'm going to flip it so it's right sides together, and I'm going to do that for each of these top blocks. Okay, I probably should have thought this through about climbing around on the floor, but keeping it real. Keeping it real. Okay, so I'm going to pin these. I'm going to take them over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew this sashing piece to the top block in each of my rows. So with this quilt, I'm making the throw. It's just 4 rows. So I'm going to come right back, and you're going to see that I'm going to have these 3 blocks sewn to the sashing piece, and I'm going to have it pressed. And I'm going to press my seams toward the sashing piece. I'll be right back. Hey, I'm back crawling around on the floor. Okay, so I've sewn this block. Do you see how this has a sewn sashing piece? And this, and one little half block behind me that you can't see because I'm sitting. Okay. Now the next block. I guess I'm realizing that my head's cut off if I try to sit up. Okay, so this block now is going to be my next. So I have a sashing piece, and now I'm going to flip it right sides together. So now you can see I'm going to put some pins in that, and that's going to be my next block. And this, bloop, just like that, right sides together. I think you can kind of see where I'm going with this. So I'm sewing this row, the row behind me. Sorry, I can't stop laughing. Yeah, I'm gonna get up. Okay, bye. Well, after filming that last video, my little sidekick woke up from her nap. And she also reminded me that we forgot to sew on our side setting triangles to the beginning of each row, which actually is not a bad thing that I forgot, because those are, I don't know, a little bit more delicate. And so you can actually just tack them on at the end. So after you sew your strip, you can then just tack on at the end of the row that side setting triangle. And I'll show you. Okay, I'm back. I'm back with another option. And I apologize that the side setting triangles are coming at the end, and there was a baby in the middle, and I'm crawling on the floor. But here's another option. Even though this video may feel a little bit scattered, and you're like, what? But I think this option also is good. So of course you have the option of just completely sewing each row. So row, together and chain piecing that way, just bit by bit. Or you can also do sections. Let me show you. Because sometimes rows get big, okay? So I'm gonna bring you down here. So if I keep tacking onto this, it's gonna get big, as you can see. So another option is for me to sew horizontal rows. Let me tell you. All right, here I have my sashing piece, and I just flip it. Again, flip it, and then I can flip that one. And I can take all of my purple blocks, I can sew sashing pieces to that, and then I can bring it back here to keep it in order. I can do the same thing again. I can sew all my sashing blocks to this, chain piece it, keep it in order. Really, the key is in any way that you can chain piece, any way at all, any way that's your preference, that works best for your sewing space. That was hurting my neck. Do it. So if chain piecing a whole row works best for you, or maybe just sewing each seam, cutting, coming back, if that works best for you because you have such a small space, you really can't lay anything out, totally fine. Sewing the sashing strips on to one side, and then you can even sew it onto the other side if you feel like that's easiest for you. Really, it's about speed and staying organized. And staying organized is priority 1, speed is priority 2. All right, that helped. Oh, let me just show you real quick. I sewed a side setting triangle. And in the blog post, I'll also show you a picture. But you just have this wee little dog ear. You see that? So you just want to make sure you have that. So you have a seam allowance here, and you don't even have to trim it. When we sew our rows together and make our quilt top in the final week, week 6 of the sew along, you'll see why we have that extra seam allowance. And so your points stay pointy. Okay, thanks for joining me. I hope this all over the place video was helpful.